Welcome to The Explainer. You know that feeling, that anxiety, that sense of being trapped by your finances? Well, if you've ever felt that, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to break down financial expert Nischa Shah's straightforward plan to go from feeling that stress to building a life of freedom and real choice.
So, let's just dive right in. This quote from Shah, it just hits home, doesn't it? That feeling of being completely overwhelmed, maybe even trapped by money? It's a feeling that makes you want to just look away. But what if I told you there's an actual scientific name for that very instinct?
It's called the ostrich effect, and you know what this is. It's that feeling that makes you avoid checking your bank balance after a big weekend, or, letting that stack of bills sit there unopened. Shah's point is that this avoidance is the very thing that keeps us stuck in that trap. So, the million-dollar question is, how do we break free?
Well, Shah argues that before we can even think about growing our money, we have to build a really solid foundation. And what's so interesting is that this isn't about some complex spreadsheet or crazy math. It's about taking 3 clear, almost psychological steps to get that feeling of control back.
Okay, here they are, the 3 big steps to building that foundation. First up, creating what Shah calls a peace of mind fund. Then, number 2, attacking that absolutely soul-crushing high-interest debt. And finally, building a real emergency buffer. We're going to walk through each one, and we'll start with the one that's designed to give you some breathing room right now.
So the very first goal, it's not about getting rich. Let's just forget that for a minute. This is all about achieving psychological security. And the target is surprisingly simple. Just save up 1 single month of your core living expenses. That's it. For a lot of people, this all starts with a really concrete, super achievable goal, saving just $1,000. Think of it like a mini emergency fund for life's small annoyances. A flat tire, a leaky faucet, so they don't turn into a huge financial stress. And this slide, wow, it really puts it all into perspective. Just by saving that first $1,000, you actually become more financially secure than over half of all Americans. I mean, think about that for a second. It's not just a small step, it's a massive leap toward taking back control of your life. Okay, once you've got that small cushion, that little bit of breathing room, the next step is to stop the financial bleeding. And that means aggressively, relentlessly tackling any high-interest debt you might have. Shah uses this incredibly powerful analogy. Trying to save money while you're carrying expensive debt, it's like trying to fill a bucket that's got holes in the bottom. You are just losing money faster than you can possibly put it in. And this visual just drives the point home, doesn't it? I mean, trying to save money while you're carrying high-interest debt is a losing battle. The interest you pay on something like a credit card completely dwarfs anything you could ever earn in a savings account. That's why Shah has a really clear rule. Attack any debt with an interest rate over 8% as fast as you possibly can.
Right, so with that high-interest debt under control, it's time to build a real safety net. This is for the bigger curveballs that life can, and let's be honest, will throw at you.
So what's the goal here? It's about 3 months of your core expenses if you're single with a steady paycheck. But it's 6 months if you're the head of a household or if your income is a bit more unpredictable. This fund protects you from the big stuff, like a job loss or a health scare, and it buys you crucial time so you don't have to panic. And listen, this isn't just about the money. Get this, research from Vanguard found that having this kind of financial buffer actually provides a greater sense of emotional well-being than earning over $200,000 a year. Let that sink in. It's not about being rich, it's about feeling secure. So once that foundation is totally secure, it's time to shift from playing defense to playing offense. And Shah is crystal clear on this. With the way the cost of living is going up, you just cannot save your way to retirement anymore. It won't work. For generations, we've all been told the same thing. Get on the property ladder as soon as you can. It's the best way to build wealth. But Shah challenges us to look beyond that tradition and actually run the numbers for ourselves. And here's the part that might surprise you. Once you factor in all the hidden costs of owning a home, I'm talking property taxes, insurance, all the constant repairs and maintenance, renting can actually be the cheaper monthly option. And that difference, that extra cash you're not spending, is money that can be put to work investing and growing for you. And Shah uses her own life as the perfect example. Just look at this chart. Her London property? Yeah, it grew about 10% since 2017. But a simple investment in the S&P 500 market index, that grew by nearly 90% in the same amount of time. The numbers, well, they really do speak for themselves.
So where'd even begin with all this investing stuff? Shah's advice is to start simple. So number 1, if your employer offers a retirement plan with a match, you take it. You
You max it out. It's literally free money that you're just leaving on the table if you don't. And second, use special accounts, like an ISA in the UK or a Roth IRA in the US, that are designed to let your investments grow without you having to pay tax on the gains.
And what should you invest in? Again, keep it simple. Shah recommends something called index funds. Instead of trying to be a genius and pick winning stocks, you're just buying a tiny piece of the entire market. It gives you instant diversification at a really low cost.
And this might be the most important secret to successful investing. There's a famous study from Fidelity that looked at which of their accounts performed the best. The winners? Dead people. The runners-up? People who had completely forgotten they even had an account. The lesson here is incredible. Sometimes the best thing you can do is nothing. Don't panic when the market dips. Just stay the course.
Okay, let's move on to the final, and honestly, the most important part of this whole puzzle. Now that you have a plan for how to manage your money, you need to understand your why. What is it all for?
Shah tells this great story about two colleagues she had. One guy spent all his bonuses on Ferraris and fancy Michelin star dinners. The other, a guy named Phil, packed his lunch every single day. Well, guess what? The first guy is still working. Phil, he retired early to a beautiful home in the country. Now, neither one is wrong, but they made very, very different trade-offs.
You see, chasing status and stories through spending, it puts you on what psychologists call a hedonic treadmill. The happiness you get from each new purchase fades really quickly, and then you're just left needing the next fix. Phil, on the other hand, chose to trade those short-term thrills for long-term freedom.
So ultimately, this isn't about whether you should buy a Ferrari or an index fund. It's about realizing that you have a choice. It's about intentionally using your money as a tool to build a life that you truly value. So I'll just leave you with this one question. What does that life actually look like for you?